evening and welcome to this edition of News Leader on 6. I'm Jim Fuller.
And I'm Jenny English. In tonight's news, a voter registration group set a new record registering voters at the Bonnaroo Music Festival. Tullahoma's 4th of July celebration will be packed with quality entertainment this year. The new Tullahoma Animal Shelter opened Monday, and a former city department head was honored when the facility was named after him. We'll bring you more from State Representative Rush Bricken as he talks about this year's legislative session. We'll have these stories and more on tonight's News Leader on 6.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Chevrolet GMC in Winchester. Select Silverados will receive supplier pricing and $6,500 in rebates only at Russell Barnett Chevrolet GMC on the bypass in Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, why buy anywhere else?
Cool off at Southern Middle Tennessee's newest water park, Tullahoma's Splash Island. Fun for all ages. 3 25-foot water slides, lazy river, fun water features for toddlers, tasty food items available. All this and more, only $5 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 4 to 9 p.m. Sundays, 1 to 6. Join the fun at Tullahoma's Splash Island.
My wife Jackie has always been the life of the party, but things changed when she couldn't be as active anymore.
They told me I needed a double knee replacement.
It's not as big a deal as it used to be, but she still needed to go to rehab.
I was amazed at how good the therapists were at Life Care. They took really good care of me.
They took excellent care of her. And now she's back doing the things she loves, and that makes everyone happy.
Life Care Center of Tullahoma wants you to get active and live well.
Welcome back. HeadCount, an organization that partners with the musicians to register voters, said it broke its all-time record for any single music festival by registering 1,390 voters at this year's Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. That total smashed the previous high mark of 1,211 voters set in 2016. The grassroots team of volunteers registered voters from all but 5 U.S. states. Since 2004, HeadCount has registered nearly 600,000 voters at over 7,500 concerts and music festivals. Andy Bernstein, HeadCount's executive director, said, quote, "This is incredible. Essentially a year and a half away from the 2020 election, we are already seeing this level of excitement from young Americans about voting." 2018 saw a more than 50% increase in youth voter turnout in midterms. I can only imagine what this type of momentum this will create for 2020, end quote.
This is all in the shadow of a new law in Tennessee which would call for criminal penalties against voter registration groups for missteps in the voter registration process. The law, which goes into effect in October of this year, creates civil and criminal liability for any registration efforts that do not follow new legislative mandated procedures for voter registration drives. This could potentially harm organizations like HeadCount, which helps add voters to rolls across the country. HeadCount has plans to register voters at thousands more concerts, festivals, and cultural events before the 2020 election, with the goal of registering more than 200,000 voters by the next presidential election.
Though thankfully it was not needed, Unity Medical Center in Manchester was prepared to handle the heavy influx of patients in case of an emergency situation at the recently concluded Bonnaroo Music Festival. The center's maintenance workers, in partnership with the Tennessee Department of Health South Central Region Emergency Preparedness, set up a tent equipped with emergency care capabilities called the Alternate Care Unit. The unit was placed in the back of the hospital facility at 482 Interstate Drive. Unity Medical Center CEO Martha McCormick said, quote, "You never want to think about a disaster type of situation, but the reality is we need to be prepared for that possibility. I am confident that our staff is trained and our facilities are prepared for this busy time," end quote.
Lyle Russell from the Tullahoma Recreation Department stopped by our studios to tell us about the entertainment scheduled for this year's 4th of July celebration.
There's another big event coming around the corner. It's on July 3rd. Yeah, that's right. So it's on July 3rd. We do it the day before the 4th, so that way everybody can have the holiday to themselves.
What day is that? What day of the week is that? Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday this year, yeah.
So the 4th is a Wednesday or the 3rd is a Wednesday?
No, the 4th is a Thursday. The 3rd, the event.
The event will be on a Wednesday.
Correct.
Wednesday evening.
Yep, got a little bit longer fireworks show this year. We've added a few minutes to it. We've got some great bands coming. Vinyl Radio that was here last year is coming back again. They're a really good 60s and 70s cover band. And then Six Wire is going to be our headliner, and if you remember, they were the house band for the NFL draft that they just did in Nashville.
Right.
These guys are some serious musicians.
Oh,
Both bands are some serious musicians.
Yeah, for sure.
They know how to play, and they're going to play a lot of originals, a lot of favorites, songs you can sing along to. It's going to be a really good show.
Really good show.
Stay with us. More news is coming up right after this.
Miller Lite and Michelob Ultra invite you to celebrate America's independence at Tullahoma's Fraser McEwen Park, Wednesday, July 3rd. Gates open at 3 p.m. and world-class fireworks start at 9. This is a free event that has something for everyone. Live music from Six Wire and vinyl radio, a kids zone, petting zoo, food, fun, games, and more. The City of Tullahoma, Miller Lite, and Michelob Ultra invite everyone to Fraser McEwen Park, July 3rd for the Tullahoma Independence Day Regional Celebration. And don't miss the downtown after party at London's.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Chevrolet GMC in Winchester. Select GMC Sierras up to $10,000 off original MSRP. That's Russell Barnett Chevrolet GMC on the bypass in Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Welcome back. Tullahoma Mayor Lane Curley proclaimed June as Parks and Recreation Month at Monday's Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting.
This is Parks and Recreation Month, for those of you that do not know that. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout the country, including Tullahoma, Tennessee. And whereas parks and recreation are vitally important to the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of the community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease and improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in Tullahoma, Tennessee. So congratulations to all those involved in Parks and Recreation in Tullahoma.
A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held at Tullahoma's new animal shelter Monday afternoon, and Monday night, the City Board officially named the facility in honor of former Public Works Director Wayne Limbaugh, who was instrumental in establishing the shelter.
This is going to be a controversial one here, I know, so y'all just bear with me for a minute. So this is resolution number 1791, a resolution to name a building in Tullahoma the Limbaugh Animal Shelter. You'll see on your agenda, and I don't normally read these, but if you'll indulge me for a minute, I think it's important that the people in the audience and Mr. McCullough and people watching on TV has access to this. A resolution of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to name a building in Tullahoma the Limbaugh Animal Shelter. Whereas Wayne Limbaugh served the citizens of Tullahoma, Tennessee for 23 years, from 1994 to 2017. And whereas Wayne Limbaugh, due to his dedication and work ethic, was promoted to Director of Public Works in the year 2000. And whereas as Director, Wayne Limbaugh accepted additional responsibilities, including IT, and because of his big heart for dogs, the animal shelter operations. And whereas he embraced his new role as Animal Shelter Manager by creating a caring and compassionate facility unlike Tullahoma had ever experienced. And whereas he was a leader in initiating numerous innovative programs, such as establishing the animal shelter as a no-kill humane shelter, striving to keep animals alive and healthy. Whereas he introduced customer-friendly adoption programs, creative marketing, and a volunteer program, and empowered the Friends of the Animal Shelter to help care for the animals, host fundraisers, and engage the community in all aspects of the animal shelter. And whereas he worked to establish strong partnerships with local veterinarians, recognizing that medical care is critically important for the well-being of the animals. And whereas he was the driving force behind the annual Bark in the Park community event, raising support for medical services by inviting dogs and their owners to compete in fun competitions, such as the shortest tail. I assume these are for dogs. Longest ears, again that was for dogs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Tallest dog, Best Mixed Breed, Best Trick, Best Costume, Owner and Dog Look-alike, and the crowning of Mr. and Miss Tullahoma Canine. And whereas it is now fitting that we honor Wayne Limbaugh, who devoted so much of his time to the care and stewardship of the Tullahoma Animal Shelter, and always demonstrated there are two types of work. There's hard work and there's teamwork. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Tullahoma as follows. This resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, the public welfare requiring it, this 24th day of June 2019. So the chair will entertain a motion that we approve resolution number 1791. Proper motion by Mr. Mathis.
Second.
Host of seconds, including.
Second.
Second. So, any discussion?
Yay.
Yay. Good point. Yeah. All those in favor of resolution 1791, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Going to be close, Wayne. Oh, look at that. 5-0. Unanimous. So let me recognize you at the podium.
It'll be short and sweet. I do want to mention something though, because down at the shelter, I failed to recognize the people who help make this happen. First of all, our staff. You know, all these games and stuff. I had staff that came up with this stuff. You know, when you're the director, if something goes wrong, you get the blame for it, and if something goes right, you get credit for it. But it wouldn't have been done by myself, and especially with help from Robert Taylor. I want to thank the citizens of Tullahoma because they were fantastic. You know, we raised all the medical money that the animal shelter has, at least it did when I was here, and I assume it's still that way, is raised, you know, through donations. And just from the turnout that we had today down there, I think it kind of tells you what kind of support that we get from the citizen. And then finally, I want to thank the board because Mayor Curley made a statement today down there that all he did was put money in the budget. Well, if that money is not in the budget, we don't get to do anything. And our board has always supported us through the whole years that I was with the city, and I truly appreciate it. And I truly appreciate this honor.
So I bet there's someone in the audience you'd like to recognize as well.
Oh, yes, my boss. Well, this one. Beth, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
More news is coming up in just a moment.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. It's a Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
All right, the cat's out of the bag at Carroll Street Liquor in Tullahoma. Now you know where to go if you're planning a get-together and want the ideal wine or spirit. Party planning can be stressful, but at Carroll Street Liquor you'll find everything you need. Mixers, gift sets, and all of your favorite spirit brands. So if you're feeling the pressure to pull off the ideal party, come to Carroll Street Liquor and select among the seemingly endless supply of wines, spirits, gift sets, and more. Your perfect party, it's in the bag with Carroll Street Liquors.
Welcome back. State Representative Rush Bricken appeared before the Tullahoma Board of Mayor and Aldermen at their June 10th meeting to inform them about legislation passed by the General Assembly during this year's session.
There was $200 million more set aside for education this year. BEP was fully funded, so I don't know if school board's here, but they got all the money that they previously received, maybe that's right, English. And then there was an additional $71 million for teachers' pay raises. So that certainly is very important in the education area to certainly fully fund the education programs and certainly provide very needed raises for our teachers. Also, $40 million was added this year. $30 million was added to already the existing $10 million for school safety, for providing SROs in every school in the state. If they already had SROs, that money could be allocated to other security measures, whether it's equipment, structures, things like that. So locally, that should, benefit Tullahoma and the school systems here. Local, I'm going to, again, keep jumping around a little bit. 3 pieces of local legislation that I personally sponsored. One, I know y'all have had discussions about, dealing with the local hotel motel tax. That was requested by the county commission. Senator Bowling and I carried it through the General Assembly and it passed. It has not been ratified yet by the full county commission, but I think it's coming up on the agenda. So that's going to raise about $350,000 of additional revenue for the county, and directly or indirectly, that certainly impacts the citizens of Tullahoma by hopefully reducing some property tax increase there. The other bill that I sponsored was, if y'all remember that the county got sued for $1 million for employee claim that had treble damages with. Well, the legislation I sponsored did away with the treble damages, left what's normal in lawsuits dealing with this kind, just compensatory damages. So hopefully a county or municipality won't face the cost that Coffee County faced last year with that additional $1 million they had to pay out. The other legislation was a professional license for veteran spouses. So when a military person moves into the area, if their spouse is professionally licensed, they can begin work immediately here rather than having to get relicensed in Tennessee. So that was a request by the human resource people at Arnold and also the base in Clarksville. So I was real proud to get that legislation approved. So those are 3 local bills I'm real proud of or involved with.
Did the legislation pass that says you can't talk on the cell phone?
Yep.
So a couple of things like that.
Handheld devices will no longer be, you can no longer talk holding your cell phone or texting holding your device.
While driving.
While driving. Yeah, if your car is parked, you can use it. That is effective July 1st. The first fines, I think it start off at $50, and then they go to $100. I'm not sure what sequence, but that is out there. So law enforcement will have a tool there to and hopefully the state will publicize it. Georgia passed that legislation a year earlier than Tennessee, and they've already seen a significant reduction in deaths and fatalities with distracted drivers. A lot of mental health initiatives and law enforcement corrections were passed this year, which are very important bills. Broadband, again, for rural areas, again, it doesn't directly affect Tullahoma, but $20 million of additional grants for around the state for expanding broadband to the rural areas was certainly initiated. A lot of legislation dealing with elderly abuse, and certainly putting more penalties, civil and criminal penalties for it, along with establishing an elder abuse task force to look for additional ways to prevent that. We did cut taxes in several areas. The professional privilege tax was reduced by $45 million, which exempted, I think, at least 15 new professions. Sadly, Mike, not attorneys, so you still have to pay your $400 a year, but we appreciate it. But realtors, chiropractors. Oh yeah, all right. So you get half the benefit. Good. So anyway, next year, if the revenues come through, we hope to eliminate the rest of the professional taxes. But they felt like they needed to do it somewhat in a piecemeal fashion. So.
And we'll be right back with more News Leader on 6 right after this.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Ford in Winchester. Check out the 2018 Ford Taurus, yours today for $26,992. That's Russell Barnett Ford on 41A in Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family, caring for your family since 1932.
Welcome back. Tonight we'll bring you our final segment of Tom Corrington's interview with Coffee County Mayor Gary Cordell about the 2020 census.
I understand if they don't receive the response to the first one, you'll get another one.
Yes, sir, and another one.
And a phone call. And somewhere along there, I think, and this is really worth repeating 2 or 3 times, the confidentiality of that data. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to count every person in the country, whether they're a citizen or not. Yes, and so if you're not a citizen, and especially if you're here illegally, I'd be kind of silly to fill that thing out, wouldn't I?
Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't you report me to the...
We don't know how that'll work. We'll see.
Well, the data is supposed to be confidential.
Absolutely.
So it will not be used to notify the people that deport us out of the country.
Right. Yeah. So we've been assured that will not happen. We verified that on the front end. And one thing we were apprised of, Tom, before the first meeting even, that they've shared with us that the largest segment of population that's harder to track or get a count on are the children 5 and under. Yeah. Which makes some sense. I can see that.
Yeah.
So going forward that process, going through this year and leading up to kickoff in January and whatever, the bulk of that will be, we're trying to do that online to speed up the process and whatever. But then those that do not respond in time, they'll have home visits. That's part of, that's the way it's always been done.
Yeah, I understand. If you you'll receive a second questionnaire.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't answer that one, somebody's going to come to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Census
so we're
worker,
trying to minimize those home visits and trying to run people down, or track people down.
Yeah, the census worker will come and knock on your door.
Mm-hmm.
So that's and that's of course a major undertaking, which I know you hope you don't have that many of.
Right.
So our part of our real purpose in getting started now is to persuade you folks that you really need to respond, that it's important in all kinds of ways. And the information is used for the next 10 years for making decisions at every level in the country by every organization, which is we're not even aware of that the data is being used for that. There's also something, and I wasn't able to get a handle on what this is, and maybe you haven't gotten to there either, something called the American Community Survey. Have you heard anything?
That's what I just did.
About that?
Yeah, it was titled American Community Survey, and that's what I did in that 3%, where we were sent out that request early. So I'd raised that question myself, what is this? But that's the title of the survey that's coming out apparently online or in the mail to those 3% that's coming early. So I just did mine a few weeks ago. But I did do mine online, because the next step would be to follow up by mail and have it done by paper.
Yeah, I saw some numbers. I don't know where this came from. That survey has something like 46 topics on it, 46 subjects.
And I assure you, those topics were there. Questions that I thought, what does this have to do with anything? But a lot of questions there.
Yeah, and who all did that go to? Who's
supposedly 3% of our population?
3%.
Yes, sir. I was told 3%. So for whatever reason, I was in the 3%.
Okay, well, I saw a number somewhere that there were 3 million households.
Could be.
That's not 3%.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how they're doing that.
3% would come up to be
You'd think a lot more
something
than
like
that.
9 million households.
Yeah, we were told 3% though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're about to run out of time. What is your timeline, Gary? You've got, as far as the folks out there, when are they first going to hear from you?
Really soon. I'm hopeful in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll be getting the first announcement out to the public, because we passed the resolutions in anticipation of getting that announcement made in April to our citizens.
Okay. All right. Well, as the year goes along, folks, we're probably going to need to revisit this again to
maybe several times.
Again, remind you and encourage you to take part. And meanwhile, Gary, I thank you for taking time to join us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Stay with us. Your weather forecast is coming up after these messages.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Ford of Winchester. Check out the 2018 Ford F-150 as low as $34,739. That's Russell Barnett Ford on 41A in Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
We're losing it, Doctor.
Not on my shift. Quickly, brush. Roller.
What a transformation. It's going to be okay.
Okay, nothing.
At Paintworks of Tullahoma, we specialize in domestic emergencies with Martin Senior Paints. You can be the paint doctor too when you treat your home with Martin Senior interior and exterior finishes.
Doctor, we've got another one.
Got you covered.
Paintworks of Tullahoma. Come see the paint doctor, Stat.
You made the time and the sacrifice to broaden their horizons, to see their smiles, but mostly to make lifelong memories. We think it's time to do it again, just the two of you. Don't let illness or injury slow you down. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this day. Our record high was in 1952 at 100 degrees. The record low was in 1958 at 50 degrees. Average high on this day is 87, and the average low is 64. Mostly clear weather in the forecast for tonight with a low of 65. Some storms expected in the evening on Friday with a high of 87 and a low of 68, and some isolated storms in the forecast on Saturday with a high of 88 and a low of 68. And that's our news leader report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6, 8, and 10 for News Leader on 6. You have a good evening.
Good night.